Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Woo, I tell you what, today, I'm going to be so busy, I don't know whether I found a rope or lost my horse. I tell you what. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Monday, the day before we go to vote. Good morning. And a good morning to you. Yes, I'm going to say this right up front. We're going to be very busy today with our last-minute caravan, not from south of the border, but our politicians and all their ads. So bear with me a little bit today. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course I'm Zeb Bell with our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a big event going on right now, and that's all their great tires and brake service, everything. You stop in and see them today. And don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, without further ado, let's have our Pledge of Allegiance quickly. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, man, you're doing a good job. Hey, listen, right now, before we get our weather in, could you have the good word for Brad Little?
Yes, sir.
Brad Little is running for governor to put Idaho families first. Brad Little's plan: invest in our teachers and more local control of public education. Continue to fight against rising health care costs. And tax cuts to create more opportunity for working families. And to keep our economy growing. Here's Brad Little.
I grew up on an Idaho ranch, and I still work on one today. Idaho's where we raised our family and where our grandchildren are growing up. I'm running for governor because I want Idaho to be a great place for them and the best place in America to pursue a dream. I have a plan to improve our schools and create better paying jobs, and I have the experience to get it done.
A rancher, an experienced leader. As governor, Brad Little will put Idaho families first.
I'm Brad Little, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Paid for by Brad Little for governor. Vicki Risch, treasurer.
Thank you very much, and today is going to be a busy day. Last minute before the big election tomorrow, please, I urge you to take the 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it takes, and be a real American, a patriotic American, and go vote tomorrow. Right now, it's time for the weather quickly, and we've got the weather sponsored by K&R Rental. Roger and the crew at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. All the best of rental of tools and equipment for you and any project you have. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're going to be blessed with sunshine this week. The breeze will be a constant, and welcome to another work week on Zeb at the Ranch. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Expecting sunny skies for today. Winds out of the west right around 20 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 35 miles an hour, and we are looking at a high of 49. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 32. Winds will be a consistent out of the west right around 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. For tomorrow, sunny skies, breezy, high of 46, mostly clear for tomorrow night with a low of 26. By Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 43. Thursday, sunny and 42 as we hit the weekend on Friday, sunny skies, expecting a high of 46, pretty much the same for Saturday. And as we look ahead towards Veterans Day Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 47. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Range.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by Roger and the crew at K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Yep, on the Burley-Paul Highway. Stop in, see them today, or give them a call at 678-3122, K&R Rental. I've got some stories this morning that I really can't wait to share with you, especially one that just came across my desk probably an hour ago about the black Democratic candidate for Georgia's governor's chair, and that's Stacey Abrams, and the support that she's getting from a not very good group. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, and I've verified everything. As a matter of fact, I talked to the author of the story in Atlanta, Georgia, not more than 15 minutes ago. Don't forget, to our friends at Daryl's Cleaners, and they're located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Absolutely the best. Kevin and Cindy and the whole outfit over there really are concerned about making sure that all your rumply crumplies come back to you looking brand spanking new. They're really great, taking our clothes in there for a long time. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see the best today at Daryl's Cleaners. Want to remind you, too, that with our busyness here today, I hope nobody feels like they're being slighted. I'm going to have to abbreviate some things to get everything in. I want to remind you, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And they're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And, of course, the number to call ahead if you want to have your order waiting for you on the counter, if it's counter available, I mean, as far as the size and everything, is 678-0459. Don't forget, for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, that is the place that has been in business serving you for almost over 6 decades. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. You be sure and stop in and see them today. Caller, I'm going to be coming your way in just a minute, but I have just received this story, and I know some of the national media are picking up on this, and some are not. And members of the Black Panther Party marched through the city of Atlanta, Georgia this past Saturday, and they were strapped and armed with assault rifles and carrying Stacey Abrams campaign signs. Think about it. This is the left. This is the demented left that wants to take over this country. And I've got a picture right here in my hand, honestly, from the video of the Black Panthers leaning up against a car, holding their weapons, automatic weapons, and a sign that says Stacey Abrams governor. And this is the kind of sleaze and filth that the left is bringing into this campaign. Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. And, of course, they are America's Diner. And they also have another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Yes, sir, you can stop in anytime. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time. Great menu choices. Gonna love the food. I love their breakfast. I really do. And, of course, don't forget to lunch and dinner and all the sweet desserts and everything. All that and more at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. It is the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and you can stop in to America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. It's the Yummy Man. Today, the Senior Center is having baked chicken, parsley potatoes, coleslaw, and mixed fruit cup yummy dessert. And I'm gone, so it's to save time.
Well, I appreciate it, Joe. God bless you, man. Have a wonderful day. The Yummy Man, have a wonderful day.
Thank you. We invite everybody. Come on out and have a great dinner.
All right, buddy.
All right, buddy. Joe, bye.
Thank you. Joe's in a hurry. He's running on. There you go. Thank you, Joe. Lori Likely is a candidate that we want to talk about real fast right here. I've got to get my papers all situated. And, of course, don't forget Lori Likely running for Idaho House of Representatives, District 25A. Family is a fourth-generation ranching family from Jerome, and she's the Republican nominee for the Idaho House of Representatives, District 25A. I urge you to vote for Lori Likely. This is a sharp, sharp lady. And absolutely, she served as the president of the Idaho Cattle Association, director of the NCBA. She knows how to run a business and help run this state. Don't forget, Lori Likely, Idaho House of Representatives, District 25A, paid for by Likely for Idaho, Bill Likely, treasurer. Thank you very much. And another good guy, and that's Jim Patrick. By golly, I want you to remember Jim, because he wants to say a big shout-out and a thank you to everybody that supported him in past elections. And he says, hey, I want everybody to go to the polls tomorrow, and don't forget there's a lot of people on the ballot, and it's a very, very crucial election. Please don't forget, too, Prop 1 and Prop 2. Read and study how you're going to vote tomorrow, and thanks to District 25 State Senator Jim Patrick, paid for by Jim Patrick, District 25 Senator. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to just be really honest and blunt about this thing this morning. The America is absolutely under siege by a leftist villain. This villain might not have a particular face and or name, but evil. I think evil, a four-letter word, reigns supreme on the left. When you look at this picture, and I hope that by tonight this story will become very prominent. Now, I want to urge you that I do not put anything on the radio that is not foolproof. And we have the gentleman that wrote this story, Jason Hopkins. I called him in Atlanta a little bit ago, about 25 minutes ago now, and I said, Jason, if anything more develops from this story, I want you to come on my program tomorrow or Wednesday and talk about it. But the video posted shows the Black Panther Party with obnoxious thugs standing by a car with a sign, and they paraded in the West End neighborhood of Atlanta on Saturday, carrying their assault weapons and saying, vote for Stacey Abrams, governor. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I agree with you on there's an evil in this country that is unrest and waiting to take us down, which way they can, and I don't think it's necessarily tied just to the Black Panther group or the left in its entirety, as much as it is as a whole, with a whole bunch of different tentacles trying to infiltrate what we have made strong and great and to bring us down to a communist nation in the long run. The other statement I have is, if anybody can help me, we moved into Rupert area, and I do not know where to go to find out where to vote. I don't know, to go to the courthouse or whatever. If anybody can help me, I'd appreciate it.
No, just call the courthouse and tell them where you reside, give them your address and everything, and those ladies that work there will be very helpful and tell you exactly where you can go.
Well, I will, and I'll make sure everybody's listening. Please go vote. Whether it's for who I want or who you want, just go vote. That's the right thing to do, and I'll let you go.
All right, buddy. Thank you for your call. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. We've got this good word for Prop 2. Wheels, if you would, please.
This is Governor Butch Otter, and I want to tell you why I support Proposition 2. Proposition 2 is an Idaho solution that would bring our tax dollars back to Idaho and expand Medicaid to tens of thousands of hardworking Idahoans, instead of Washington, D.C. sending our tax dollars to other states, like California, to pay for their health care. Proposition 2 brings millions of our federal tax dollars back to Idaho, where it belongs. It will expand Medicaid to working Idahoans, people who work hard but can't afford health care. Proposition 2 isn't a handout. It's an Idaho solution that will help working families. Proposition 2 will help our rural hospitals, save taxpayer dollars, and create jobs. So join me and vote yes on Proposition 2. It's the right thing for Idaho.
Proposition 2, endorsed by law enforcement, doctors, business groups, chambers of commerce, and Governor Butch Otter. Vote yes on Proposition 2, paid for by Idahoans for Health Care. Dr. Bruce Belzer, Treasurer.
Thank you very much. And right now, I also want to remind you tomorrow at 9:46, don't forget the Stotz Ag Minute. Stotz Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer. We'll have old Vic on the program with us. I missed the John Deere days on Saturday night. We all of a sudden just couldn't make it over, and I feel bad about it. But by golly, we'll talk to Vic tomorrow at 9:46. Stotz Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer. They make your life easier. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Good morning, Zeb. I'd like to put a name to the villain that you were talking about earlier. Lucifer. He's controlling all the Democrat Party, I think, trying to destroy our lives and make us miserable.
You know, I'm not going to say that the word all encompassing the entirety of the Democratic Party, but I'll tell you what, when they...
Democrats out there, I will admit.
Right.
You get what I'm saying.
I do, and I agree with you, because I'm looking at this. I read this story very, very carefully, and I looked at how the Abrams campaign tried to smother this story with kind of remarks that attacked her person that's running against her, Brian Kemp, and I looked at it as nothing more than a cover-up for, like you mentioned, vile and sleaze. When anybody has the group called the Black Panthers absolutely parading through the streets advocating that they vote for them, it's a scary, scary deal.
Exactly. And all I can say is everyone needs to get out there and vote. And I would encourage everyone to vote red, you know.
Well, I absolutely agree with you, and I thank you for your call. It's good to hear from you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Yep, and I will be voting tomorrow.
All right.
I guarantee you.
I know you will. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, do not vote for any left-wing Democrats. Now, when I say that, I'm serious. I'm going to say absolutely this morning no to Paulette Jordan. I don't trust that lady. We're going to talk more about that a little later. And no to the likes of Deborah Silver for the Idaho House of Representatives. We do not need that kind of person in there that especially Deborah Silver, because I've got a little axe to grind with her back in 2007. Basically, she was one of the many Democrats, called me a racist and tried to wreck my life and my program. And now she's running for state representative, where basically I would be one of her constituents, and she won't even respond to my calls to come on the program and or answer questions. Oh, yeah. Great representative. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, how despicable more can the Democratic Party become? You know, when they brought Obama up there to do the rallies, I guess you'd call them rallies, and call our President of the United States a liar. Yeah. Liar. What kind of class does that show they are? None or low.
None as far as any class, or low in regards to if they had any at all, it'd be low class. Keith, this isn't a partisan thing. Really, it's not. It really goes back to what's right, decent, and moral versus the filth and the sleaze. Honestly, that's what it boils down to. I'm really not even going to hang a partisan name on this thing. I'm just going to say we've got to be so careful about putting people in position that are in power with the evil left.
Well, when he comes out and calls President Trump lied, he lied to us. He did this, yeah. He did that.
Yeah.
And then in the very next breath, he said he didn't start this revolution of things being good again. It was me. It was always me. And he is the one that's the liar.
You know what? Obama is nothing more than an extremely self-dedicated man that cannot stand to give the credit to anybody else, and he absolutely is feeling like he's left out of the huddle in a football game. Nobody's telling him to play. And I don't have any respect for Barack Obama whatsoever.
I have less respect for him than I do for the black people the Black Panthers.
Well,
don't like at all.
You might be stretching it a little bit there because I think the fear factor of the Black Panthers and their movement, etc. But to have, if I were Stacey Abrams, I would be really tentative about having the Black Panthers parade in Georgia in the city of Atlanta and with signs that say Stacey Abrams for governor. And then I've got another picture sent to me this morning to where some common citizenry are with these armed thugs called the Black Panthers standing on a street corner, Stacey Abrams for governor. This is the kind of sleaze that we need to defeat in this election, Keith.
I realize that, and you know what? I made the prediction that the Republicans would win because people who are Republicans and they see these Black Panthers walking by, do you think they're going to flash their Trump signs? No. But when they get in that voter's booth, that's when the truth comes out.
Well, I hope so.
We will win.
And I don't want any excuses from anybody, like my cat coughed up a hairball, or I had to stay home and arrange my sock drawer, or whatever. Go vote tomorrow. Keith, thank you for your call. Appreciate it.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Now, I've been going over there the last couple of weeks, and oh, yes, I swear highly by them. Absolutely, Nick Greenwell, physical therapist, and all the physical therapists. They are the best at what they do. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I urge you to call the number 678-1191. Call, make an appointment, let them help you get back to being you. They are the best. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. You stop in and see them today. I want to urge you, too, to remember to go vote tomorrow. If you're not sure where to go, call the courthouses and they'll give you the information. Don't forget, too, Representative Clark Kaufman, seat 25B, state representative. We really appreciate Clark and all that he's done. I've asked him to help me on many occasions with some various issues, and boy, he is Johnny on the spot. And he also works for tax policies that are business and family friendly. Don't forget, Clark Kaufman, Representative, seat 25B, urges you to go vote tomorrow. Paid for by Clark Kaufman, State Representative 25B. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Just wanted to call and let you know there's something going on. We know that. With the early voting being so prominent, I just hope that's good news for us. But I'm going to assume it is for a little bit here because we do have a Constitution. It is made for the people. And I think that it'll work out for us.
I'm going to ask you, caller, you talked very softly on the phone. If you could speak up a little bit. I heard most of what you said, and I'm just going to come right out and say this. I do not believe in early voting. And after having said that, what are your thoughts?
Well, I understand your position in that, too. Yes, there's two sides, but I am an early voter, and the reason I am is, number one, so I won't forget. I know that's a poor excuse, but the way my travel goes, it works that way sometimes. And my old age, I'm only a week younger than you, so I'm an old man too.
Thanks for the kind remarks. No, I appreciate your call this morning, but the main thing is vote, vote, vote. Go vote tomorrow, please. Thank you very much for your call.
Thanks, Ed.
You bet. I have taken a little heat in the past over my criticism of early voting. I know in certain instances and, of course, circumstances that early voting does aid and assist people because they can't possibly on that respective date get to the poll. But I also have a fear, like I've heard some congressmen and senators say, and others of political knowledge, that early voting can be transitioned, let's say, into a different change and a different climate weeks in advance. And I'm scared of it. I really am scared of early voting. I don't like it. Caller I'll be right there. Stand by, please. I want to remind everybody about Senator Kelly Anthon. There is a good guy. Look up the dictionary, good guy. There's his picture. Kelly Anthon, Legislative District 27 State Senator, and he always stands up for conservative principles and voting to protect Idaho values. And he knows and appreciates a strong agriculture is best for the state of Idaho. Don't forget, Kelly Anthon, Legislative District 27 State Senator, urging you to go vote tomorrow, November 6th, paid for by District 27 Senator Kelly Anthon. Real quick, also, caller, I'm a-coming. It's a busy day. Please bear with me just a little bit. I want to remind you about Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Oh, my goodness. And the Lennox products. So don't forget, they want to make sure that you are comfortable this winter. Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. Call them today and find out more. 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, over 6 decades of serving you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Talk to me, caller. Go ahead, please. Wheels, where is the caller? Do you have them?
They should be there. I'm not sure what happened to Jerry's phone, but
all right. Well, we're just going to have to go on with it, and he can call back. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call that I hope is coming in, don't forget to Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. That number to call for maybe your sick kitty cat or a whole bunch of dairy cattle that need to be vaccinated, whatever the case might be, is 678-1177. Don't forget, Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, the entire outfit at Ark Animal Hospital, they want to make sure your animals are healthy. They're located at 750 21st Street in Heyburn. Number to call, 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital. They have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Do you hear me now?
I do.
Okay, I was talking before, but you weren't listening.
Yes, I was, Jerry. I did not have it coming through.
Early voting, as long as the person is alive, they show voter ID, and, they follow the procedures that need to be followed. They're a citizen of this country, and they're voting for the right party.
Well, you touched on something, and don't go on and on because I'm short on time, but I want to get your response on this. I am absolutely incensed. In other words, I'm doggone teed off at those that would say, oh, we don't want to have people show an ID at the polls. Oh, no. Why, that's discriminatory. Jerry, it's absolutely, I think, necessity to prove who you are and be proud of who you are when you go to the polls and vote. If you can't take the time to get an ID, stay home.
Well, you have to show your ID for about everything you do in this world anymore. You can't even get on an airplane unless you show it.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't get a credit card. You can't do a lot of things. It's just ridiculous that they don't want to show their ID. They have to be breaking the law or do something illegal.
Jerry, why is it that the left always says something so stupid and insane as saying, oh, well, the Republicans... Just a minute, Jerry, please. When the Republicans say, like myself on my talk show and others, well, have proof of who you are with an ID when you go to the polls. What is so hard about that?
Nothing. We all carry them. You have to.
Absolutely. And I'm just, did you hear the remark that Paulette Jordan made, and it was in the paper? Listen to this and respond quickly. I want your opinion on this. Quote, she said there are some places in rural areas where people feel like they don't have the right. And she's talking about voting when it's absolutely their right to vote. There was an insinuation there that there's voter suppression, and that makes me furious.
Well, it does me too, because everybody has the right to vote. All you have to do is go to the polling place and do it.
That's right. God bless you, my friend, Jerry.
They're all handy, and there's people there that know how to get you through the process in just a few minutes.
That's right.
And it's a wonderful thing to do. It makes you a lot happier and healthier when you walk out the door.
That's right.
Knowing you participated in your country's welfare.
I agree. Jerry, thank you for your call this morning. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Wonderful day. May the Lord bless.
All right. Thank you, sir. That just infuriates me to think that, you can't make those people show an ID. Why? They haven't had time. You haven't had time? That's one of the dumbest statements I've ever heard in my life. You knew the 2018 midterms were coming up. You know that the 2020 election is coming up. Go and get your ID. And don't give me this garbage. I didn't have time. Why, that's voter suppression. No, it's not. Let's have this good word for Fred Wood.
With us now, Legislative District 27 State Representative Fred Wood.
Hi, I'm Fred Wood. November the 6th is General Election Day. This election, all statewide constitutional offices and all legislative seats are up for re-election. In addition, Idaho citizens have placed 2 propositions on the general election ballot. Proposition 1, historical horse racing, and Proposition 2, Medicaid expansion. These propositions are citizens' opportunity to participate in direct democracy. Please go vote on November the 6th. Paid for committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer.
Thank you very much, Fred. And don't forget, too, Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, Legislative District 27 State Representative. Good old boy, and I mean that. Scott, of course, has been Speaker of the House since 2012, and he urges you to go vote tomorrow. No one understand the propositions, no one understand who you're voting for, and he urges you to vote for Brad Little for governor of the Gem State. Don't forget, Scott Bedke, Speaker of the House, District 27 State Representative, wants you to go vote tomorrow. Paid for by Scott Bedke, District 27 Representative. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Before you get started, let me ask you, don't you just scratch your head in amazement and bewilderment as to the stupid, absolutely dumb outcry from the left about, making them show an ID is such an imposition. What's the matter with us for even listening to that garbage?
Well, that's how the Democrats can get away with voter fraud. And it is out there. I don't care who says it isn't. It is out there. There has been cases proven. But what the Democrats are doing are saying the minorities, the blacks and the Hispanics and whoever else they're trying to protect for the ID aren't smart enough to get an ID.
Yeah.
Is basically what they're saying.
Well, that's true, Doug. But doggone it, I'm not going to back up for anybody. Some people say, that's making these people have to go an extra mile. No. It's not. It's equal for everybody to prove who you are. When you go to the poll and sign your name and vote, it's a very important part of being an American citizen.
Exactly. It is a right to be an American citizen. And the way the Democrats are pushing it, that right is really not valued anymore. They want everybody to vote.
Let me ask you, what did you think? I asked Jerry a moment ago, and I want you to respond. There was a story in the paper about Paulette Jordan being in Twin Falls this past weekend, and and I caught up on this morning when I read that paper story. She said, talking about voting, this is what she said, quote, there are some places in rural areas where people feel like they don't have the right to vote and be here. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if they're not an American citizen, they don't have a right to
Bingo.
vote. If they're here illegally, they don't have a right to be here.
Bingo. I'm fed up with this. I really am. Paulette Jordan, I hope, and I mean this, I hope she gets less than 20% of the vote.
Well, I hope so, too, because she is one that's going to take us down the Obama path is the path that she wants to go down.
I'll make a prediction with you, buddy. I'll make a prediction with you real quick, Doug, and then I got to run too. But I'll make a prediction that the huge voter turnout for Democrats against her is going to surprise you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think she's not good for Idaho. She's not good for America.
No.
She's like Beto and that guy down in Florida run against Santos.
Oh, yeah. Well, not only that, but she's a lot like Abrams. And then, of course, you've got other issues on the table. I don't think she's qualified. I don't think she's knowledgeable. I think a lot of what she says is just baseless rhetoric. And I know I'm prejudiced. I like Brad Little. I've known him for a long time. And I know in my heart that man would do the best job for this state of Idaho. Certainly not Paulette Jordan.
Yeah. Well, I got a call coming in, so...
All right. See you later, buddy.
Everybody, do what you can for the seniors.
All right. Thank you very, very much. Caller number 2, I'll be right there, I promise. I want to remind everybody about our friends at Dino Septic Service. Oh, my goodness, they do a job that you and I don't want to do. You don't want to be standing out there pumping a septic tank. Oh, you don't want to have to take charge of all the liquid waste removal. Oh, and you don't want to sit there and try to clean out the sewer and sink drain lines. Oh, no, call them. They are the best at what they do. Dino's Septic Service, and it's just recently been enhanced as far as larger and larger to serve more people. Call the Rupert number, 436-6526, or the Burley number, 678-1638. Fast, fare-friendly service with that big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. You give them a call today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I hope you're having a good day.
I'm busier than a one-arm kicker, or one-arm paper hanger. Pardon me. Go ahead.
Well, Zeb, when people tell you that they can't, you can in Idaho you can vote without ID. All you have to do is sign an affidavit that you are who you are, and if you really aren't, you go to jail if the affidavit proves wrong. So when they say they can't vote in Idaho, it's as easy as any place in the world.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Bert, please, let's go back to the premise of the question and the thought. What is so wrong? What is so wrong on people being prepared and qualified that they have to show an ID in so many other places, banks, and whether it's a form of employment or getting on an airplane? The list goes on and on. Why can't they show an ID to vote?
Well, I support that 100%. And if there is somebody, I'm thinking of somebody that's maybe been bedridden or something. You can get a absentee ballot without having to show an ID.
Well, absolutely, but Bert, the problem is that I can't accept, and I won't accept, no matter who tells me, is that you have preparation time to get ready to vote in important elections. You had, not you personally, but everybody had plenty of time to get ready for 2018. After that, they're going to have plenty of time to get ready for 2020. I can't and I will not take the excuse of, oh, why, it's so suppressive we didn't have time. That is absolute lunacy.
Okay, Zeb, I accept the fact that we all have plenty of time to do it, and the states, and I agree with you 100%. Every state ought to have picture ID as to who you are.
Let me ask you, and you know my feelings on this, I do not want Paulette Jordan to be the governor. Never. But when she makes a statement that in Idaho, there are some places in rural areas where people feel like they don't have the right when she's talking about voting, where in the world would that be? Come on, Bert, explain that to me, please.
I can't justify that comment because I don't know of any place, and I've traveled pretty much the state over the years, Deb, and I can't think of any place that
people should feel that way.
Absolutely. I'm very bitter as to the left and what they're doing or not doing. I'm very bitter as to what's going on to override and denounce the Trump campaign from 2016's vote to be president into the 2018 election. We've seen a better economy. We've seen more jobs. We've seen more growth. We've seen more security. And all the left wants to do is go back to the original chaos and resist. And it filters down even into the states.
Zeb, I can't imagine anything that would be worse than waking up Wednesday morning and finding that we've lost the House in Washington, D.C.
Oh, my goodness.
We would look for the next 2 years of nothing but chaos.
I couldn't agree more, my dear friend, and it's so good to hear from you. Please say hello to your lovely wife. I've got to get to the weather, but thank you so much.
Zeb, thanks for all you do. I've been going to call you, but you're doing a super job.
God bless you, sir. Thank you. One of the nicest men ever in politics and in general, and that's Bert Stevenson. I have the utmost regard for him. Let's get a weather forecast on here. Holy smokes, am I late. Weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they are right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and they've now expanded again. They've got 3 great audiologists working there, Dr. Shane Hunsaker, Dr. Pickup, and Dr. Mitchell. Holy cow, you'd better get over there. Give them a call for a hearing screening. They can, and they will help you and your hearing health. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're going to be blessed with sunshine this week. The breeze will be a constant, and welcome to another work week on Zeb at the Ranch. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Expecting sunny skies for today. Winds out of the west right around 20 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 35 miles an hour, and we are looking at a high of 49. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 32. Winds will be a consistent out of the west right around 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. For tomorrow, sunny skies, breezy, high of 46. Mostly clear for tomorrow night with a low of 26. By Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 43. Thursday, sunny and 42. As we hit the weekend on Friday, sunny skies, expecting a high of 46. Pretty much the same for Saturday. And as we look ahead towards Veterans Day Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 47. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. I appreciate it. Brought to everybody by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they're an excellent, excellent group of folks over there that really can help you with your hearing health. Call, make an appointment, 312-0957. Want to remind you, too, and we'll take some more calls. Love to hear from you. And the number is 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. Hello, sales, service, and parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan. 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin with Eli and the Nampa location. And let me tell you, they've got all the Bobcat and the Doosan equipment. They've got all the equipment rentals, retail equipment sales. Oh, my. And on the Bobcats, I still believe they've got that 0% interest up to 60 months. You better check it out. Barry Equipment and Rental. The best. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Barry Equipment and Rental. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. Zeb, I know many, many times you have rented a car. And when you go to the rental counter, the first thing they ask you for is your ID.
Absolutely.
And then they ask you for your credit card.
Absolutely.
If you do not have a credit card in your name, you will not rent a car from them.
That is exactly right. You know, Keith, I cannot abide in any situation, and I've thought about this a lot. I cannot abide in any situation the absolutely melted ice excuse of not getting an ID and not showing your ID at the polls. And anybody that says that's discriminatory is basically, in my opinion, a nincompoop.
Yeah, it's just like you leave your wallet at home and you go downtown or something and you're stopped because your taillight's not working or something, and the officer asks you for your license. Of course. You have to have identification there.
Yeah.
And he most likely will give you a citation, which is pending on going to the courthouse and
show them that you do have one, then it might be waived. But why don't you have it with you all the time?
Yeah.
You got in a wreck or something.
You know, you're 100% right.
Identification.
You're 100% right. I'm just sick by the left and their lame, miserable excuses. And one of those excuses was highly perpetrated through the comment that was made by the Democrat Paulette Jordan. I find that to be repulsive, that in certain areas, rural areas of our state, people feel like they don't have the right. Baloney. And there's another word I wanted to use, but I can't on the radio.
Well, I've never seen a woman that could talk so fast and say so little in such a short time.
And mean so much less. Yeah, I agree with you.
That's what she did when she stepped on his foot that time.
I totally agree with you, and we've got so many like her that are running. Look at Arizona with the Senate race. Look at what's going on in Florida with the governor's race, and in Georgia with the governor's race. I'm telling you, we cannot let socialism, and that's who these people are, raise their ugly heads.
Absolutely.
Got to run, Keith. Thank you. God bless. Thank you.
Bye.
Wheels, could we please, before I take the caller, I promise I'm going to be there. We got to have this good word for Prop 1.
It's an Idaho tradition going back generations. Horse racing. And Proposition 1 will bring it back. Yes, on Proposition 1. It's all about Idaho, creating hundreds of local jobs, restoring millions of dollars to local classrooms, all with full transparency and real accountability. And the Idahoans sponsoring Prop 1 are doing even more, donating 100% of net profits from their horse racing operations to a new charitable foundation, the Treasure Valley Racing Foundation for Rural Idaho, dedicated to supporting education, scholarships, healthcare, and economic initiatives, serving rural families and communities all across our state, supporting programs like 4-H and FFA, and providing financial assistance to students pursuing degrees in areas like agriculture and animal science. Yes, on Proposition 1, the campaign with a heart for Idaho. Paid for by the Committee to Save Idaho Horse Racing, create jobs, and fund public schools.
Thank you very much. And caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I heard something on the Brand X News out of Boise listened to Saturday. They have hired a interpreter to help Spanish-speaking people to vote. And I wonder how you feel about this. To me, that's kind of a slap in the face.
Well, you know my stand on this. All right, sir. God bless you. Thank you very much. You know my stand on this. And I get accused of being a bigot and a hate monger and everything else. I can show you the emails. I absolutely think that this is an English-speaking nation. And I don't like any excuses. I don't like any extra expense. I don't like the fact that we're becoming such a split, bilingual, trilingual, quadlingual society to where it's becoming to where we, the taxpayers, have to find, oh, well, so-and-so is coming to vote today. What nationality or race are they? Oh, we got to go get an interpreter. Wait a minute. If you're coming to America, try to assimilate. Gee, maybe try to learn the language. Do the best you can, please. Know and understand the issues. Or don't come to America. I hate to sound blunt on this, but I want to maintain the integrity of this nation as an English-speaking nation. And, you know, I was reading somewhere, and I can't have this at the tip of my fingers to give you the exact numbers, but like back in New York, what was it, 47 or 62 different languages, and they have to come up with all these different interpreters and explain all these different supposed propositions in New York State and everything, and they have to fill out the thing in all their language and et cetera, and they do the form of translation. Bunk! I don't believe in it. That's as blunt as I can be. But I urge you to go vote tomorrow. You know what? The best way to stop this insurgency of idiocy is to go vote tomorrow. Caller, quickly. I've got 1 minute left. Go ahead.
Yeah, Zeb, I think you'll respect this guy that I used to work with. He was of Hispanic descent, but he said, first thing he said was, I am not Mexican-American, I am not Mexican, I am just American-American. That's all it is.
Yep. And I've had...
He said to this guy that was speaking Spanish while we were working, he said, You are in America. You will speak English or you will get out of here.
Thank you for your call back on that, because I think we've got to take pride in the nation that we reside in, and quite frankly, that's the United States of America. I don't like to make all these excuses and different amenities for these people. I don't. I'll take heat for that, but that's fine. I've got big shoulders. Calls welcome, 436-2244. Oh, by the way, I understand that yesterday, because we weren't on the air naturally on Sunday, Brenda Adams had a birthday yesterday, and Brenda, happy birthday to you. There you go. Happy birthday, Brenda Adams, yesterday. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Oh, my goodness, be ready for anything on the roads this winter when they've got the best of tires, like the Reputation, their best passenger all-season tire. And, of course, they've got great buys on the backcountry all-terrain tire for your pickups and SUVs. Oh, the list goes on and on. All the tread designs, all the sizes, everything for your cars, pickups, SUVs, trailers, whatever. You stop in and see them today. Wonderful, wonderful people. Also with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. Who? Well, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, great folks. Daniel on Poline and Twin, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run to the news. Wheels, you've done a great job so far. Keep it up, buddy. We'll be back in 7. Oh, holy moly. We've got a busy, busy day today, and then things are going to ease up tomorrow on Election Day. Be sure and go vote. Zeb at the Ranch, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Wheels, can we have this good word for Western Way Services?
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Way Services, get on the route service, have your garbage picked up weekly, and it's gone. No worries, mate. You just call them, get on the route service at 734-6969. They are absolutely the best. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Wheels, tell Richard Manning we're going to be with him in just a minute. Hold on, don't champ at the bit. I'll be right there. Here's a good word for Brad Little for governor.
Brad Little is running for governor to put Idaho families first. Brad Little's plan, invest in our teachers and more local control of public education. Continue to fight against rising health care costs. And tax cuts to create more opportunity for working families and to keep our economy growing. Here's Brad Little.
I grew up on an Idaho ranch, and I still work on one today. Idaho's where we raised our family and where our grandchildren are growing up. I'm running for governor because I want Idaho to be a great place for them and the best place in America to pursue a dream. I have a plan to improve our schools and create better paying jobs, and I have the experience to get it done.
A rancher, an experienced leader. As governor, Brad Little will put Idaho families first.
I'm Brad Little, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Paid for by Brad Little for governor. Vicki Risch, treasurer.
Thank you very much. And right now, also, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric, proud to offer you Lennox products that can help keep you comfortable and save you money. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. Call them today and find out more. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. They are always trying to make you more comfortable and save you money. Over 60 years of service to you. Oh, wow. Am I busy this morning? And I'm going to ask this gentleman in about quarter past the hour if I can have another break for our commercials. Good morning to the President of Americans for Limited Government. Holy moly, Richard Manning, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Zeb?
I'm busier than a three-legged cat in a sandbox right now, Richard. I'll tell you that. Anyhow, here we are, basically 24 hours before what I term to be the most important election, honestly, for our values, ethics, and morals in this country. What are your thoughts about the election tomorrow?
Oh, I concur. This is a seminal election in that we're going to find out if the Empire is able to strike back, to use a Star Wars analogy. We're going to see if the Trump magic extends when he's not on the ballot. We will see if there is, in fact, a growing kind of a shift, a demographic shift in the country, where that demographic shift works towards the Republicans or if it works towards the Democrats. And lastly, we're going to find out if people are if they are concerned about our borders. We're going to find out if they're concerned about taxes, if they're concerned about limited government, and if people are going to embrace, and if they're going to embrace the craziness that the left is showing them. So it's going to be an incredibly interesting and instructive election, and the most interesting part of it is, in a lot of states, more than half of the people have already voted. So we have election day, but the ballots have been cast by about half the people, which means in many situations, no matter what happens in the next 24 hours, the die is cast.
Yeah.
The difference is that we have while the die might be cast in some ways, I think there's going to be a number of races that are going to be very, very tight, and it'll be the people who show up on election day that are going to make the difference, and who makes certain that their voters get to the polls on election day, in spite of whatever weather difficulties they might face. That is going to be, I think, may prove to be determinative as to who's going to control the House of Representatives.
I absolutely agree and concur with everything you said. Now, I'm going to say this, and you might take difference with this opinion. I absolutely fought and will continue to fight to stop early voting. I know in circumstances it perhaps is a needed thing, but I think there's too much that can happen in the 2 to 3 weeks before any election. Having the early voting and circumstances and different stances change, more information is found out about various candidates, etc., leading up to election day. And I think early voting sometimes casts the die in the wrong color and wrong shape.
I agree. I'm not going to disagree with you at all. I think you clearly have to have a system in place that allows for people who are overseas to be able to vote, our troops are who are deployed to be able to vote. So it's justified in some instances, but I think this concept of we're going to start voting on October 1st and with mail-in ballots and the like are really bad for the process. If you voted, once you've stuck the stamp on the envelope and you've sent it in, or you've walked into a polling place and you've voted, you get new information. You can't change your vote.
That's right.
And so it's it seems to me that our system would be far better if we did a simple thing. We said, okay, everybody is off. We have a federal holiday. Election day is a federal holiday. Everybody's off work. And no excuses. You go to the polls and you vote. And you have it all in one day. You have all the voting occur in one day, because the truth of the matter is then everybody's operating with the same set of facts in front of them, and you don't have any buyer regret that you get with early voting.
Absolutely would agree with that to the nth degree. I'll tell you what really is scaring me about tomorrow is states like Florida and states like Georgia, where they have a picture and a video now of members of the Black Panther Party supporting Stacey Abrams for governor. I just talked to the author back at Media Research Center this morning, Jason Hopkins, that wrote this story. And then we look at circumstances in Arizona for the Senate. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm very fearful that our United States of America is tilting and absolutely sliding to the evil socialist left.
Well, it's. I hope not. I think, obviously, listen. The one thing, the day before the election, the hardest thing to do is to sit there and say, definitively what's going to happen, because ultimately we realize that we don't know what's going to happen. We're relying on data, and the data is not necessarily right. I will tell you that I think, wrote this on the board 2 weeks ago on my board, and I hold this up as being what I think is going to happen. I think that DeSantis will win by 4 over Gillum in Florida. I think Kemp will beat, I didn't write this on the board, but I do believe Kemp will beat Stacey Abrams in Georgia. Those are two that you need to watch, but there's a reason why President Trump went into Georgia yesterday, and that is because it's a place where he's needed. And so he went into part of Georgia where he should be able to drive turnout and get people excited, and hopefully that makes a difference. I think the fact that you've got states like Florida and Georgia, which are really prospering states in many respects, rejecting their own prosperity by considering these candidates that are really so far out the mainstream, it's obscene. I think that's a real danger, and we have to win.
Let me ask you, please, the favor of staying on the line for me, not more than 90 seconds as I have this break, and we'll be right back with more with Richard Manning in just a moment. Right now, this good word for Proposition 2.
This is Governor Butch Otter, and I want to tell you why I support Proposition 2. Proposition 2 is an Idaho solution that would bring our tax dollars back to Idaho and expand Medicaid to tens of thousands of hardworking Idahoans, instead of Washington, D.C. sending our tax dollars to other states, like California, to pay for their health care. Proposition 2 brings millions of our federal tax dollars back to Idaho, where it belongs. It will expand Medicaid to working Idahoans, people who work hard but can't afford health care. Proposition 2 isn't a handout. It's an Idaho solution that will help working families. Proposition 2 will help our rural hospitals, save taxpayer dollars, and create jobs. So join me and vote yes on Proposition 2. It's the right thing for Idaho.
Proposition 2, endorsed by law enforcement, doctors, business groups, chambers of commerce, and Governor Butch Otter. Vote yes on Proposition 2, paid for by Idahoans for Healthcare. Dr. Bruce Belzer, Treasurer.
Thank you very much, and also don't forget Representative Clark Kaufman, seat 25B, up for election, and says yes, he wants to continue serving you. He works for tax policies that are business and family friendly, and he supports funding for infrastructure for roads and bridges to maintain our export economy here in the state of Idaho. He urges you to go vote tomorrow and know the Propositions 1 and 2, know the people on the ballot. Paid for by Clark Kaufman, Representative 25B, and thank you for being on our program. We're on the air right now with Richard Manning, and I have the highest respect for this man and his opinion. Richard, with what you've seen and heard over the last 2 years since President Donald Trump has been elected as president, and we've seen the resist and the chaos and the sleaze, if you will, from the liberal left and the Democrats, what is happening in America? Are we seeing a definitive change in values, if you want to call it that, led by people that want to see us go down the toilet? What are your thoughts on the change in values?
I don't know that we have as massive of a change in values as we fear. I know we're told that we are. And I know that young people that I talk to have a completely different sense of things on marriage and the like than people did 10 years ago. But you know what we're seeing, and this is I think we're seeing for the first time a real fight about it. And I'm not talking about the marriage issue per se. I'm talking about in general whether it's okay to be pro-American, and what we in America fight for the idea that America is an exceptional place. And that battle hadn't been engaged at all. It was assumed that it was, and we were waking up and discovering shockingly that our young people have been told it wasn't. But I think we're seeing this played out with President Trump in terms of establishing that America is exceptional and that freedom matters, and we're going to have a fight about that. And I don't mind having that fight. I don't mind having that discussion. And we're going to win some, we're going to lose some. But if a Gillum wins in Florida, for instance, if he wins in Florida, and then he tries to raise the property tax or the sales tax in Florida and create an income tax, you know what's going to happen? All those people who thought that what he was talking about was just benign, really neat stuff, wouldn't that be nice, are suddenly going to get really mad about it because rubber's going to meet the road. And they say, I don't want that, and they're going to throw him out in 4 years. And it'll turn into a Republican, a dead red state because they tried evil and they hated it. So ultimately, I think the battle's been joined. I feel that for the first time, we're actually fighting it. And it's not a culture battle along the religious lines that we've normally see that in, but in terms of a broader spectrum of what's right and what's wrong about America and about basic freedoms. And I think that's a battle that needed to be fought. And quite honestly, with the Republican establishment, they essentially were nodding to the left and saying, they weren't willing to fight it. They weren't willing to lead the charge because they didn't actually agree with us. So Donald Trump's changed that. We're having a fight. It's tough. And, and I don't know how it turns out. I just know I'm glad we're having the fight now rather than 20 years from now when we can't win.
I agree with you. I would like to pursue this a little further, though, and see what we need to do to correct the situation. On Saturday Night Live this past weekend, they literally mocked a Texas Republican congressional candidate by the name of Dan Crenshaw that is also a former Navy SEAL that lost an eye while serving in Afghanistan, and they made a skit and a very low-life attitude about Dan Crenshaw. This is the kind of thing that really scares me. The left knows no level of lowness that they haven't pursued in trying to attack people with values, people that are Christians, people that really want to try to do better for America. Look at this deal with Stacey Abrams. I don't care if it's the Black Panthers supporting her. I don't care if it's the supposed governor challenger in Florida. I don't care who it is. We're seeing so much sleaze in America today that we didn't have in elections previous.
Zeb, the way I look at it is I'm thanking God that we're seeing them. They were there before. They just weren't out front. And the boldness of the left to actually show us who they are allows us to get out of the delusion that we can all just get along with people who believe that who really hate us to such a degree that they believe we should be locked up. They believe we are despicable, that we're the dregs. And so this concept of almost being lulled to sleep by we all agree, and the Democrats are I'll use an Idaho figure, a guy like Cecil Andrus, who was certainly liberal, but he didn't want to kill the Republicans, and so you have that doesn't exist anymore on the left, and so you have. And I'm really thankful that these guys are showing themselves, that they're showing their faces, because I really hate to have us elect them without knowing what they were, and because we can't we can't pretend anymore. We don't have the luxury of pretending that our country is not at stake, and it's the reason why we're seeing record high turnout on the right. And quite honestly, we're seeing record high turnout on the left as well, because each side knows that we're battling for the heart and soul of America. And, if we didn't know that, we hadn't seen those faces at the Kavanaugh hearings, we hadn't gone through that, people on the right would have said, gee whiz, okay, if they take over, so what? The Republican Congress was a waste of time anyway. They didn't do anything. But now that the stakes are out there because they've seen their face, I think that's really it's something I couldn't convey appropriately from here. They saw it for themselves and they rejected, and now we have the battle's on, and hopefully we win.
You know, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about this morning, and I've only got about 4 minutes left, is the fact of the people in this country that are rejecting and have animus against showing an ID at the polls. This is infuriating to me. They'll use all the lame excuses like, well, I didn't have time to go to the courthouse because my cat coughed up a hairball or whatever. I'm fed up with the idea that people shouldn't take pride in who they are and take out an ID and go vote. Do it the proper way.
Well, absolutely. The only real reason why somebody doesn't want to have to show an ID when they vote is because they are not voting legally. There may be, you lost your wallet or whatever, kind of instances that are rare, and you have provisional ballots for those circumstances. But the reality is, most people, the reason people are against having requirements for ID to be shown is because they want to be able to have people who shouldn't be voting vote. And there's no two ways about it. The other side doesn't respect the law. They don't respect how things should be done. They don't have a problem with stealing elections. And as a result, they chafe at the idea that people should actually have to show who they are in order to vote. I think it's incumbent on us in this country to make it so only American citizens vote, and do everything we can to make certain that occurs. Absolutely.
Any last-minute prognostications about what's going to happen in the House, the Senate, and overall with some of the gubernatorial races around the United States? I'll give you a minute to give us your Richard Manning crystal ball.
I believe the Republicans will have 56 Republicans in the Senate when it's all done. I think the Republicans will keep control of the House, and I think that Andrew Gillum will lose in Florida.
Amen.
So on those three, those are my prognostications. I wrote them on my board 2 weeks ago. I'm sticking with them. Things to look at: if the Republicans get wiped out in Pennsylvania and taking House seats, and they lose 2 to 3 Republican incumbents in Virginia, it's going to be really hard to hold the House. And so early on, looking at it from Idaho, if you see that, that's bad news. Conversely, if the Republicans hold 3 out of 4 of the seats in Virginia, and they're holding their own in the House, and House races in Pennsylvania, at that point it's going to be a reasonably good night for Republicans.
Okay. We've got a quick call. I'm only going to allow about 30 seconds. Caller, real fast. Go.
Yeah, just real quick idea for a solution to this early voter thing. Have it be maybe just 1 or 2 days before the actual election, so that people who have stuff like actual surgeries and stuff on election day who legitimately can't make it in on that day can still make it in.
All right. Richard, respond to the caller, please.
I think there should be some exceptions in terms of being able to get in.
Right.
And be able to vote, but it should be rare. It should not be the norm.
A good friend of this program, and I do look forward every Monday to having him on during this time slot. President of the Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. God bless, man. We'll talk about all this next week on Monday.
Seth, everybody keep praying. Keep praying. We got to win.
Amen, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. One of my favorite guests right there, Richard Manning, and I do appreciate his being on the program Mondays at 9:06. Holy cow, we got a lot of bills to pay. Wheels, may we please have this good word for Fred Wood.
With us now, Legislative District 27 State Representative Fred Wood.
Hi, I'm Fred Wood. November the 6th is General Election Day. This election, all statewide constitutional offices and all legislative seats are up for re-election. In addition, Idaho citizens have placed 2 propositions on the general election ballot. Proposition 1, historical horse racing, and Proposition 2, Medicaid expansion. These propositions are citizens' opportunity to participate in direct democracy. Please go vote on November the 6th. Paid for committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer.
Thank you very much, Fred. Appreciate it. And don't forget, too, Mini-Cash Hearts for Seniors. What a wonderful idea and concept. Holly Rowe and the staff, they are excellent folks, and they help seniors that want to stay at home. That's right, they want to stay at home. But they might need a little help with daily tasks and maybe meal preparation or light housekeeping, whatever the case might be. All you need to do is contact Mini-Cash Hearts for Seniors, 135 East 23rd Drive in Burley. The number to call Holly, 312-5715. Or you can go to her website, holly@heartsforseniors.net. Great idea, Holly. Congratulations. Super. Also, our big thanks go out to our friends at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, with Joel Heward, manager, along with his family and the staff, taking care of you and your family when there's the passing of a loved one. Believe me, they are there to help you and serve you. Always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to call today, 436-5636. That number again for Hanson Mortuary, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Wonderful, wonderful people. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to have, if I quit choking on this cough drop, I'd love it when I get a cold. In just a moment, we're going to have Dan Perkins, one of my other great, great guests and a favorite on this program. I really appreciate him. But I also want to remind you, too, about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I mean, hey, I didn't get a chance to talk to Jeff Bronson at the football game the other night, but I know he urges everybody to come on in to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More and celebrate the harvest sale. 40% off. Wow. No money down, no interest, and up to 48 months on approved credit, and 40% off the retail price of furniture, mattresses, dining room sets, motion furniture. Oh, the list goes on. And check out all the carpet and flooring. Woo, it's all there. Great big harvest sale at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those great folks today. Right now, also quickly, last weekend, I got to call Nick and see how that great big open house went on Friday and Saturday. Woo-hoo! They had a lot of fun over there, showing you all the ATVs and all the brand new snowmobiles, all the accessories. They had some super, super buys. All of this at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And I'm telling you what, folks, when it comes to all the accessories for Christmas presents, which is right around the corner, you'd better stop in and see Nick and Randy and the crew today. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it is true. This is where the fun is sold. You stop in and see those good folks today. Right now, as I said a moment ago, one of my absolute favorite people to have on this program, because he is, in terminology of the Old West, he is a straight shooter, and we enjoy having him on the show. And that, of course, is an Islamic historian, a terrorism analyst, and a great author, Dan Perkins. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, it is my pleasure, Dan, because you always tell it like it is, and so I want to get right into a couple of subjects. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about Donald Trump sending and deploying possibly 15,000 troops to protect our border, and the almost hysterically funny left really condemning him, while at the same time, this is not something new because Obama did it during his administration. Tell us your opinion.
Well, I wrote a piece that's on conservativethinker.org. Just came out yesterday. And what I go a little farther, or I should say maybe I present more than what the president has said. I support and talked about sending troops to the border months and months ago. But in a new piece, I'm saying we need to send the troops to the border. We need to notify Mexico that we are going to institute a 10-mile neutral zone from the American border into Mexico. And we're going to do two things. First, we're going to bring in the Air Force, and we're going to use significant ordnance to create massive craters which makes it's going to make it even more difficult for anybody who gets into the neutral zone to get out of the neutral zone and get towards the U.S. border. Number two, we're going to use drones who will be flying up and down the border and deploying customs and immigration staff along with military to identify hotspots. They'll bring in buses in the neutral zone, capture the illegals, and take them back deep into Mexico and turn them loose. I think we have to stop this. There's 2 more caravans behind this one. We are told by Mexican authorities that the second or third one, I'm not sure which, or maybe both, has indicated they have Molotov cocktails and guns and bombs. So they're coming here armed, and we have to give our troops the right to defend themselves, and we can do everything that we can do to try and interdict them coming here. But if they're going to try and charge the border, then the president has a sworn oath of office to protect and defend the people. That's part of his job.
I absolutely agree with everything you said, and I like your tough, authoritative type attitude on this. I really respect that. I am sick and tired of having these pugnacious punks, and that's what a lot of them or most of them are, carrying their former country, if you will, flag, and boasting about coming up here, punching their finger into our chest and saying, "Get out of the way, America, we're coming in." And I say to our military, no, you're not.
Right. I thought it was fascinating. You might have read the story late last week where there are people in the caravan who have filed a class action suit against Donald Trump and the Justice Department and the FBI, saying that they are violating their Fifth Amendment rights.
Oh my! Oh my!
Now, when I heard that, I was on the radio with somebody. And I said, "Wait a minute! In order to file a suit in the federal court, the person filing the suit has to have what is called standing."
Mm-hmm.
Well, these people are not in the country. They supposedly have never been in the country. They are not citizens. They're not green card holders. They're foreign nationals. And I said, I would be very surprised if the court, because there is no standing, would allow it to go through. But then I was reminded that there are liberal courts at the moment in this country, and so that they may stay whatever it is the president is trying to do. And I think that the Justice Department will go back to the court and say, until this is settled all the way to the Supreme Court, no entry. But I think there's every bit of case that the suit should be thrown out because they do not have any standing in the judicial system in the United States. It's like saying, I live in Germany. I'm a German citizen, and I'm walking down a road in Germany, and I'm going to decide to sue the President of the United States because he's restricting my illegal entry into the country if I want to come in illegally, or any other country in the world. Hundreds of millions of billions of people could file class action suits, not even being here, not being a citizen, not being a resident, say that they have a right to come into the country. It's absolutely absurd.
Well, it is. It's insanity personified right now because I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. And what really bothers me, and I want you to address this, is the caliber of people, the personalities, and the propaganda that the left is using in this election tomorrow. I don't care if it's Gillum in Florida. I don't care if it's Stacey Abrams in Georgia. I don't care if it's the Senate race in Arizona. I'm seeing a lot of sleaze and negativity against this country and our values, and we can't let them win.
I absolutely totally agree. I think that we have, I live in Florida, so I look at Gillum. When he announced he was going to run, then he got the Democratic nomination. I said, he'll get some press, but I can't believe that the people of Florida, my fellow citizens, will walk in and vote for a socialist communist. I can't believe they'll do that. In addition, now that he's got corruption, he took bribes when he was the mayor of Tallahassee, and the most dangerous city in the entire state. I don't think he's going to win. But the media looked at him as in the same mold as they look at Cortez in New York and other people around the country who are extreme left socialists who have a better agenda, they believe, for America. And the socialists always say the same things, Zeb. Yeah, socialism failed many, many times before, but we have a better idea. We have a better way. We're going to make it work. And America was never intended to be or wanted to be a socialist nation. It wants to be, and has always tried to be, a free nation where people can live a life, participate in our economy, in our country, grow and prosper. But the socialists want the governments to take over. I just literally walked out of a meeting to take your call, and I heard, and the moderator was asking the question to the group of people, about 30 in the room, and he said, I want somebody to speak on behalf of the Republican Party. What do you think the values are of the Republican Party today? And I raised my head and I said, God, country, the American flag, small government, lower taxes, and freedom to pursue whatever you want to do.
Right.
Then he asked the same question of Democrats. And there were a lot more Democrats in the room than with myself as Republican. None of them had anything to say about the people. Well, that the government should provide more services, but they didn't talk about freedom, patriotism. They didn't talk about the nation bringing us together. None of them had any suggestions that were anywhere near what I said. They didn't talk about patriotism. They didn't talk about the flag and America and the country and freedom and smaller government and the opportunity to succeed. None of those issues did they say. And that's really a representation of where the Democratic Party is today. And these are old farts in a very upscale community in an island out in the Gulf of Mexico. And they are spouting the Democratic agenda, but the Democratic agenda doesn't have any substance behind it. And the idea we want more government and more health care is not what the American people want. And I think that the American people are looking at this election. They're concerned about the economy. They're concerned about border security. They are concerned about health care. But 65%, Rasmussen just released the polls, 65% of Americans, regardless of party, Democrat, Republican, or Independent, 65% are happy with what's going on in the country.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to point out what I consider three very important pieces of information that I believe will weigh heavily on the election tomorrow. Rasmussen did a series of polls to assess how people feel about the Republican Party and the economy and Donald Trump. When Donald Trump ran in 2016, he got around 8.5 to 9% of the black vote in the United States. Based on the most recent poll of the black community, 40% of blacks support what the president is trying to do. 40%. In the last 30 days, the Hispanic population has increased their support for Donald Trump 10 points. And the third part is that the president of the AFL-CIO, the largest labor union in the United States, said that he supports the president and what he's doing on tariffs, on borders and trade, and bringing jobs back to America. And that they may, and said they may consider supporting him in the 2020 election. If you take away labor, Hispanic, and black votes from the Democratic Party, what do they have left?
Nothing. Absolutely.
So there are people that I've talked to over the weekend all over the country who are saying, I think this is going to be a vote that's going to be more devastating than 2016. People are telling me that they believe, when I see all the early voting and how much the early voting is weighting heavily towards Republicans, significant Republican, I think we have a situation in a lot of these races. They're close, and the margin of error is equal to the quote undecided voters. And I think when the Americans, I have this message for you and your listeners about tomorrow, if you haven't already voted. If you have to mark a paper ballot or you have to pull a lever, when you walk into that voting booth, just ask yourself one question. Are you better off today than you were 2 years ago? If you are, then vote Republicans to continue it. If not, then vote for somebody else. But remember that the American Republican Party stands for you.
Absolutely.
That's a simple message.
Absolutely. Dan, I'm going to ask your indulgence to stay on the phone with me 60 seconds. I've got to get this quick word in for Proposition 1. I'll be right back with more Dan Perkins. And if you would, please, over at the studios, pardon me, Proposition 2, wheels, please.
It's an Idaho tradition going back generations. Horse racing. And Proposition 1 will bring it back. Yes, on Proposition 1. It's all about Idaho, creating hundreds of local jobs, restoring millions of dollars to local classrooms, all with full transparency and real accountability. And the Idahoans sponsoring Prop 1 are doing even more, donating 100% of net profits from their horse racing operations to a new charitable foundation, the Treasure Valley Racing Foundation for Rural Idaho, dedicated to supporting education, scholarships, healthcare, and economic initiatives, serving rural families and communities all across our state, supporting programs like 4-H and FFA, and providing financial assistance to students pursuing degrees in areas like agriculture and animal science. Yes, on Proposition 1, the campaign with a heart for Idaho. Paid for by the Committee to Save Idaho Horse Racing, create jobs, and fund public schools.
All right, thank you very much. And right now back to Dan Perkins. Dan, I've got limited time because of the day before election. Naturally, our spot load is quite heavy. I want you to comment a little bit about a story that's coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. And I talked to the author of this story, Jason Hopkins, with the Media Research Center in regards to members of the Black Panther Party marching through the city of Atlanta strapped with assault rifles and carrying Stacey Abrams campaign ads. Is this what we've become in this country, to where the left is employing the likes of the Black Panther Party, armed and dangerous on the streets? This is really scary.
It is scary, but I have to tell you, Zeb, I've written about this, not about this particular group, but I've written about the reaction to the election tomorrow. We saw the day after Donald Trump was declared the winner for president in 2016. We saw the riots in the streets where people were destroying cars and breaking windows and burning things, and violence all over the country. And that level of violence has escalated regularly to the point that Steve Scalise was shot at a practice for a congressional ball game, and other people were shot at by a Hillary supporter. I honestly believe that, and I've written this, and I know it's controversial, but I believe that the Democrats have set up their constituents with the blue wave. If it doesn't happen tomorrow, I would expect to see violence break out on Wednesday, and people will die.
You know, when you say that, it's almost like we are, pardon the expression, damned if we do and damned if we don't. I don't like the threat of violence happening and hovering over my life or my family's life in a spoiled little child attitude of we didn't get our way, and so we're going to create chaos and hurt people and that type of thing. That's not the America I grew up in.
Right, nor is it the one that I'm in, but it's the reality of the one we have today. And that's why this election is important, because the American people are talking about defining what they want. And, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again and expecting a different outcome. I don't know how many times the Democrats have to do it over again and lose before they're going to realize that they're insane and that what they've been doing for the last 10 years has not worked, and rejected not only on the president's side, but now if the House stays Republican. I still don't believe that they will believe that it was their fault. They'll blame it on the white males they'll they'll blame it on the soccer moms, and they'll say that the blacks who voted for Republicans were Uncle Toms and traitors to the Democratic Party. They will not ever admit that they had no message and the people didn't trust them or want them in power. But until they come to that conclusion, it's going to continue, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to have this man frequently on my program. Dan Perkins, of course, author and master storyteller. We originally had him on one of the first times, long time ago, talking about his series, The Brotherhood of the Red Nile Trilogy, if I get my tongue all straightened out. And we're very honored to have him back the day before Election Day tomorrow. Dan Perkins, God bless you, man. Please come back soon.
Anytime. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much. I really enjoy his straightforwardness on the issues. Dan Perkins, a foreign policy contributor to thedailycaller.com. And I trust that man. He's pretty straight shooter. All right. Now, Wheels, I made a mistake a minute ago. So now, can we please have the good word for Proposition 2?
This is Governor Butch Otter, and I want to tell you why I support Proposition 2. Proposition 2 is an Idaho solution that would bring our tax dollars back to Idaho and expand Medicaid to tens of thousands of hardworking Idahoans. Instead of Washington, D.C. sending our tax dollars to other states, like California, to pay for their health care. Proposition 2 brings millions of our federal tax dollars back to Idaho where it belongs. It will expand Medicaid to working Idahoans, people who work hard but can't afford health care. Proposition 2 isn't a handout. It's an Idaho solution that will help working families. Proposition 2 will help our rural hospitals save taxpayer dollars and create jobs. So join me and vote yes on Proposition 2. It's the right thing for Idaho.
Proposition 2, endorsed by law enforcement, doctors, business groups, chambers of commerce, and Governor Butch Otter. Vote yes on Proposition 2, paid for by Idahoans for Healthcare. Dr. Bruce Belzer, Treasurer.
Thank you very much. And right, oh my goodness, let's get a weather forecast on here, and then we'll take some more of your calls. The weather brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. They've been there, done that, and can help you with everything with your business and your family taxes. Believe me, they are good. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, all of this and more, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're going to be blessed with sunshine this week. The breeze will be a constant, and welcome to another work week on Zep at the Ranch. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Expecting sunny skies for today. Winds out of the west right around 20 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 35 miles an hour, and we are looking at a high of 49. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 32. Winds will be a consistent out of the west right around 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. For tomorrow, sunny skies, breezy, high of 46. Mostly clear for tomorrow night with a low of 26. By Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 43. Thursday, sunny and 42. As we hit the weekend on Friday, sunny skies, expecting a high of 46. Pretty much the same for Saturday. And as we look ahead towards Veterans Day Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 47. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Outstanding, Gina. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And the weather brought to you by some really, really professional people. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Like I said, with offices in Burley and Rupert, they can help you, your family, and your business, and help you with all the differences that are going on now with the tax rates and tax deductions and the changing of some of the old deductions. Better call them. Better find out more. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, also, I want to remind you about Cameron and Siemens. Hello, Todd. Please give me a call today sometime. I know he will. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more with Cameron and Siemens Insurance. He's calling right now. Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call, 436-4424. They are dedicated and responsive to your needs. Very accessible people serving you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Woo! Busy morning. I'll tell you what, it's a good thing we got old Wheels over there helping us get everything on the air. We appreciate it a lot. I want to urge you again, and I've said this so many times this morning, go to the polls and vote tomorrow. No excuses. You know, one of the things that, it's my pet peeve, and if somebody's offended by this, so be it. You go to a coffee shop or something the day after an election, and you're bound to hear, well, did you vote, Herman? No, I'm not going to go vote. Well, they're all the same. You know, that's the kind of attitude that is absolutely got to change in this country. We condemn the liberal left for what they're trying to do, but we don't do anything to stop it by exercising our right to vote. Please go to the polls tomorrow. There's a lot of things on the ballot. Proposition 1, I absolutely want to see it pass. A lot of people still have questions about Proposition 2, the Medicaid expansion issue. I'm still on the fence somewhat as to which way to go on that issue. And all the people that are running, and please know these issues, study these issues, and go to the polls tomorrow and vote. Please. Want to also remind you about our friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric Analytics, and of course they're always working hard to save you money. And along with Lennox, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. Don't forget, call them and find out more. 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Over 60 years of service to you. Mighty good people. All right, coming up next hour, we've got a new man on the program this morning at 10:06, and his name is Jim Hester. I don't believe I've ever had him on the air, and we're going to have him on, and we're going to be talking about Two Tribes Says Yes We Can, talking about the division in American politics today. And then one of my all-time favorites is going to be here on the air at 10:30 this morning, and he's written not one but two great books called More Great News for America. We're going to have Dr. Gerard Lamero on at 10:30 this morning. And I got to tell you that in his book, More Great News for America and Great News for America, he just absolutely spelled it out on his predictions, and almost every one of them politically came correct in the last election. We're going to ask him what he thinks about what may or may not happen tomorrow on this midterm election. Dr. Gerard Lamero, don't miss that. Go vote. Please go vote. I urge you to do that. And while we're waiting here, just for a quick second, I want to also urge you to take this good word from Speaker of the House Scott Bedke and also District 27 State Representative. This is a man that really cares. This is a man that wants to see Idaho grow and prosper. This is a man that knows voting yes for Brad Little for governor. So please remember that tomorrow when you go to the polls. Scott also urges you to know the Propositions 1 and 2, know the people you're voting for, and go vote tomorrow. Scott's been the Speaker of the House since 2012. I have the utmost respect for him. So please go vote tomorrow, November 6th, paid for by Scott Bedke, District 27 Representative. Right now, Wheels, it's all yours, old buddy. Take it to the news. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday, a chillier Monday than we've had so far this year, but the weather forecast doesn't sound too bad. Good morning. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, and of course some of the fine, great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, Wheels, if you would please, could we have this good word for Brad Little?
Brad Little is running for governor to put Idaho families first. Brad Little's plan: invest in our teachers and more local control of public education. Continue to fight against rising health care costs. And tax cuts to create more opportunity for working families and to keep our economy growing. Here's Brad Little.
I grew up on an Idaho ranch, and I still work on one today. Idaho's where we raised our family and where our grandchildren are growing up. I'm running for governor because I want Idaho to be a great place for them and the best place in America to pursue a dream. I have a plan to improve our schools and create better paying jobs, and I have the experience to get it done.
A rancher, an experienced leader. As governor, Brad Little will put Idaho families first.
I'm Brad Little, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Paid for by Brad Little for governor. Vicki Risch, treasurer.
Thank you much. And to our guest, I know that Jim Hester is waiting on the line, but Jim, this is political season. Stand by, my friend. I'll be there. We need to help keep this lady's values in the Idaho House of Representatives, seat 24B. I'm talking about Linda Wright Hartkin, is a very compassionate conservative that believes in our Second Amendment and is pro-life, and above all, she has common sense. With Representative Linda Wright Hartkin, we have a person that's a problem solver with integrity. Don't forget, vote November 6th for Linda Wright Hartkin for House seat 24B. We need her values. Paid for by Elect Wright Hartkin Committee, Rich Stivers, chairman. Wheels real fast. Can I please have the good word for Proposition 2?
This is Governor Butch Otter, and I want to tell you why I support Proposition 2. Proposition 2 is an Idaho solution that would bring our tax dollars back to Idaho and expand Medicaid to tens of thousands of hardworking Idahoans, instead of Washington, D.C. sending our tax dollars to other states, like California, to pay for their health care. Proposition 2 brings millions of our federal tax dollars back to Idaho where it belongs. It will expand Medicaid to working Idahoans, people who work hard but can't afford health care. Proposition 2 isn't a handout. It's an Idaho solution that will help working families. Proposition 2 will help our rural hospitals, save taxpayer dollars, and create jobs. So join me and vote yes on Proposition 2. It's the right thing for Idaho.
Proposition 2, endorsed by law enforcement, doctors, business groups, chambers of commerce, and Governor Butch Otter. Vote yes on Proposition 2, paid for by Idahoans for Healthcare. Dr. Bruce Belzer, treasurer.
Thank you very much. And right now, without further ado, and I offer an apology and appreciate his patience, Jim Hester. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Well, Jim, you know as well as anybody probably during political season, my time is not my own. So of course. I appreciate your patience. Listen, you've got a book that is really intriguing to me because of the title. Two Tribes Says, Yes, We Can. What in the world are you talking about?
Well, we've always had partisanship in this country, going back to the days of Hamilton and Jefferson. It's something that will always exist. People see the world differently. People have different views on different things, how to raise their family and so forth, and that's fine. That's been great for our country throughout history, but in the recent years it's become more of a tribal sentiment than anything else, and we've devolved into two separate tribes. The Democratic and the Republican parties have reached a point where it seems like you have to loathe the other to be a valid member of your own tribe, and you turn a blind eye to the flaws of your own tribe. So it's a situation that creates a condition that nothing will ever be solved, because all you focus on is beating the other side but not solving problems. I have 4 kids that have an uncertain future because of some serious problems that need to be fixed. And if we don't come together as Americans and try to solve some of these problems, we're not going to be able to provide a future for our kids and our grandkids, and that concerns me.
All right, Jim, I'm very conservative, and I'm very pro-Trump administration. I make no bones about it. I was not in favor of him getting the nomination for the presidency and then winning, but after that point, I've been very supportive because of the economy, because of our strong military stance. I like what this man is trying to do. He's created jobs, the economy is growing, everything looks a lot better. But the Democrats, the party of no, resist, and chaos, how in the world are you ever going to bring these two together?
Well, that's a good question. It's not easy question. There's no easy answer, but we have to focus on the long term, and we have to focus on what we have in common. I've asked 5 questions in this book that I think are important before we make policy, before we issue laws. By the way, I'm a 30-year attorney. I'm a former military officer. stationed in Germany. I volunteered for the Persian Gulf War and served with the Green Berets. I believe very strongly in this country. I'm a very patriotic American, but we have some problems that we have to solve, and these are the 5 questions I would ask. When a policy is about to be issued or discussed or debated, or a law is about to be decreed, ask, is it good for the majority of Americans or just for a few? Secondly, I would ask, is it true? Third, I would ask, is it good for our children? Some laws or some policies are good for me, but not good for our children. For example, during the Iraq War, there was a tax cut that I got a beneficial I got money in my pocket. That was a benefit. I liked that. But my kids will have to pay for that war with additional deficits and debt. So I don't think it was good for our kids. And then lastly, I ask, would 2 great figures in history supported, Abraham Lincoln, who got this country through the most difficult time of our nation's history, would he be supportive of that policy? And lastly, would Jesus be supportive as well? Regardless of what your religious beliefs are, whether you believe Jesus was the Son of God or not, his teachings and his principles can be something that we can all learn upon, or learn from and build upon.
Well, you're on a program here that I'm emphatically going to say I'm a Christian and proud of it. So you're not going to raise any waves with me on that statement. However, I will say that your comment that you made a little bit ago about the 2 parties sitting down and trying to work out what's best for the American public that they, Democrat and Republican, are supposedly representing, that's the key right there, because there's so much selfishness when they reach the Potomac and sit behind their mahogany desk in that great big leather chair. They forget about the people that voted them in.
Exactly. Well, the problem is it's easy to be an ideological purist and focus on what you believe in strongly in your heart. And I know that we have a lot of people who believe strongly in certain things and certain principles and certain laws, and I support that. I believe strongly in certain things as well. But I'm also a pragmatist. I want things done. I want problems fixed. I want problems solved. And they're not going to be solved. They're not going to be fixed if we simply point the fingers at the other side and blame the other side. We're all on the same team. That's why my book has a football analogy to it, rebuilding Team America in a post-truth world. I want to rebuild this team so we can get to the Super Bowl. You know, if Tom Brady doesn't agree politically with his offensive linemen and they don't block for him, he's not going to succeed. So their political views don't matter because they have a goal and ambition and a vision to move towards, is to win that football game. And that's what this country has to do as well. We have to work with the other side, even if we don't agree with them, because they're Americans just as we are.
I wish you would have said Aaron Rodgers instead of Tom Brady, because now you know where my heart is. Thank you very much.
Well,
no, I got to ask.
Frustrated San Diego Charger fan. I lost my team last year. So.
I know you did, and I feel sorry for you. But I've got to ask you this. We have a very large and growing population. I'm going to call them the Tin Cup Society. And when I call them the Tin Cup Society, they sit there on a street corner and they hold that that tin cup out and they say, gimme, 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 government feed me, government clothe me, government give me housing. That's something that we've got to overcome, and I don't know how to do it.
Well, I ran for Congress a number of years ago, and my platform was reducing the debt, reducing the deficit. I'm a fiscal conservative, and I believe that we are creating a huge burden on our children and grandchildren that I think is immoral, to be honest, as well as bad policy. And nobody wanted to hear it. Nobody wanted to hear how I was going to cut their benefits and increase their taxes or some combination thereof. They want to know how my taxes can be lowered and how my benefits can be increased. And that's you simply can't do that. We have a $21 trillion debt right now that's projected to be $28 trillion in the next couple of years. And both the Democrats and the Republicans have contributed to it. And they just want to blame the other, and nobody wants to fix the debt keeps increasing. And in the near future, there's not going to be any money left for anything other than Social Security, Medicare, and interest on the debt. And That's not an ideological statement. That's arithmetic.
So looking at tomorrow's election, Jim, and I don't know how far or how many months ago you finished this book, but what are you looking at tomorrow? I mean, I see nothing but division. I see nothing but animus. When you look at, like, per se, the Florida race, we've got Andrew Gillum that's a known socialist that wants to lead America with socialistic causes. We've got the same thing in Georgia with Stacey Abrams, and she's got a picture of a story this morning that was written by one of the editors of the Media Research Center that shows the Black Panther Party marching through Atlanta supporting her carrying armed weapons. I mean, what kind of an America is that?
Well, we do have a divided nation, that's for sure. It's become more divided in recent years. I'm not sure the historical cause. There's many causes to it. It started back in the 90s, I think. It's been exacerbated in the last couple of years. And like I said, that's the problem right now. We just have two sides that basically seem to loathe each other. And the solution's not going to be easily fixed. I'm hoping it doesn't take a catastrophe or some terrible situation to remedy it, but I think it's going to take common sense. And whether or not you agree with your opponents, the fact is they are Americans and they have certain views, and they may not agree with yours, but we have an obligation for our children and grandchildren to try to fix these problems. And if we simply focus on winning in the next election, it's a short-sighted, counterproductive attempt, because at some point the other party will take control, and at some point the other party will regain control, and goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and problems don't get solved and just gets kicked down the road, and the animus increases, and it's got to stop at some point.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. If I were to appoint you as the man in charge, all the power, and I told you that 3 o'clock this afternoon I wanted you to go get Mitch McConnell by the nape of the neck and Chuck Schumer by the nape of the neck and drag them into a little 6x8 room and have a personality adjustment, what would you tell them?
Well, I tell them, remember Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, how they used to do it. In the old days, it used to be that you would have a political opponent, and you would say to them, I disagree with your policies, I disagree with your opinions because they are wrong. And let me tell you why my opinions and my philosophies and my proposals are better. And then you have a debate and you figure things out. But nowadays, the analysis is my opponent's evil, my opponent's wicked, my opponent's despicable. And that emotional-based hatred doesn't lend itself very well to solving problems. So I would take Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, I'd drag them into that room, and I would tell them that my kids and my grandkids want solutions to these problems. And I'm not going to open this door until they make some steps on how we can fix them.
You know, and now I'm not trying to be facetious, and I know you're not either, but we have to do something. And I don't know what kind of measures, be they radical or whatever, to get people to understand on both sides of the aisles, this is garbage. This is absolutely throwaway garbage. What they're talking about doing if they lose and everything else. We've got to think about, like you just said, I couldn't agree with you more, that we've got to sit down and figure out for generations to come how to keep this country great. I don't see either side really applying that principle.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. Right now, it's a scorched earth philosophy. Everybody's trying to win tomorrow's election. And then we're going to get into the same thing, start up for 2020, and then it's just going to be the same battle, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and scorched earth, and nothing's going to be solved. You may be happy when a certain policy gets issued, but then the next administration comes in and reverses it or eradicates it or eliminates it. And that's not conducive for a stable society, and it's not conducive for my children's future. So there's no easy answer. I wish I could fix it with a snap of my fingers, but we have to at some point stop this nonsense and figure out how we're going to fix some of these problems, and we have to focus on more of what we have in common than the things we disagree on. Absolutely, there are different political viewpoints, and absolutely you may not agree with my views, and I may not agree with yours, and so on down the line. But we have a common goal as Americans, and we have a common goal as parents and spouses and employees and citizens to fix our problems. And by God, I'm going to do my best to contribute to that. Yeah, I may not be able to fix them all myself, but I'm going to stand up and I'm going to speak out. And I want people to speak out as well. And one of the problems, besides loathing the other side, is we turn a blind eye to our own weaknesses, our own foibles. It's easy to blame the other side, but it's harder to admit that we're flawed and we're at fault as well sometimes too. So I think we all need to look in the mirror. Our government has power only because of the consent of the governed. And if the governed don't do anything and don't speak up, then the governors will do what they want.
Absolutely. Your book, I want to find out more about your book. I understand from reading some of the cheat sheets that it's basically kind of a football analogy. Is that correct or incorrect?
It is. There's it's compared to a professional championship football team trying to win the Super Bowl. There's 3 stages to that. There's the preseason where you focus on foundations, blocking and tackling and so forth, and then you have the long season, a 16-game grind. You win some, you lose some, you have injuries, so forth. But then the third and most important stage is becoming a team for the ages. Lots of teams win in a given year, and then the next year they fade away. How do you sustain that championship season year after year after year, decade after decade? That's what we want in this country. Is we want to be the strongest and richest country for decades to come. And so we have to focus on the long term and not just the scorched earth short term of destroying our opponent tomorrow in tomorrow's election. So we have to remember that we're all on the same team. We may not all agree, but we have a common goal, making this country great.
I don't know if you can afford it or not, but I would suggest heartily giving a copy to every congressman and senator and make it a must-read. They're going to have an oral exam next Tuesday. I think it'd be absolutely excellent to force that book upon them. Tell everybody in my audience, where can they find the book? Two Tribes Says Yes, We Can.
Well, it will be released on November 14th. It's available right now on Amazon for pre-sale. It will be in finer bookstores very soon. But right now, Amazon is the main place. I have a website as well, authorhester.com. That's authorhester.com. Links to my Facebook and Twitter accounts as well. But Amazon's probably the key place to go right now.
You know, Jim, I wish you a lot of success with this book. I've got to get a hold of a copy and read this, and then I'd like to have you back on the air, especially after this midterm election. I wish you a lot of success with this book, and please come back in the future.
All right, well, thanks so much.
Thank you. Jim Hester, author of Two Tribes Says Yes, We Can. And it's about time we had some common ground with these absolutely frivolously stupid politicians that kind of go in off directions and nothing ever gets done for us. Okay? Wheels, I need you, if you would please, to play another good word for Proposition 2.
This is Governor Butch Otter, and I want to tell you why I support Proposition 2. Proposition 2 is an Idaho solution that would bring our tax dollars back to Idaho and expand Medicaid to tens of thousands of hardworking Idahoans, instead of Washington, D.C. sending our tax dollars to other states, like California, to pay for their health care. Proposition 2 brings millions of our federal tax dollars back to Idaho where it belongs. It will expand Medicaid to working Idahoans, people who work hard but can't afford health care. Proposition 2 isn't a handout. It's an Idaho solution that will help working families. Proposition 2 will help our rural hospitals, save taxpayer dollars, and create jobs. So join me and vote yes on Proposition 2. It's the right thing for Idaho.
Proposition 2, endorsed by law enforcement, doctors, business groups, chambers of commerce, and Governor Butch Otter. Vote yes on Proposition 2, paid for by Idahoans for Healthcare. Dr. Bruce Belzer, Treasurer.
Oh, my goodness. You know what's coming up on the 18th of this month? It's the annual Molson, Angus, and Hereford Ranch Great Big Production Sale. I know that last year I heard a lot of people that went up from this area and bought cattle. They said that is a premier sale. Absolutely, quality comes first. It's going to be at the ranch near Parma, Idaho, and they're going to start at high noon. Sale starts at 1 this coming Sunday, the 18th, and sale cattle will be on display the day before Saturday, November 17th. Don't forget, Molson, Angus, and Hereford Ranch, quality comes first production sale this coming Sunday. And I guarantee you need to call the number and find out more. Mark Molson is the number to call, 208-739-1059. This is going to be an outstanding sale. Many people that went up last year said, oh my, first class. And this is going to be this next Sunday at the Molson, Angus, and Hereford Ranch near Parma. And we'll have more as the week progresses. Thank you very much. Oh my, let's also remind you about our friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, of course, and don't forget they've got the great Lennox products that help keep you comfortable and save you money. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases, so call them today and find out more. 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Over 6 decades of service to you and your family. We have a program segment that's been on our show for many, many years now, and it's a tribute to the great folks and educators of Cassia County with Cassia County School Days, and we're very blessed and to have the sponsorship of A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. My, they've got new clothes arriving almost daily, and sizes from newborn to size 16, and very reasonably priced, and they've got all the Cherokee scrubs and the baby furniture and the games, the puzzles, the toys, everything. It is a family store at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, bringing you Cassia County School Days on Thursdays at 10:10. Don't you miss it. Okay, now we've got that done. And coming up next hour, I absolutely am excited to have my friend, Dr. Gerard Lamero, on the program, and we're going to be talking about the upcoming election tomorrow. Again, I know it sounds repetitious. It is. I need you to go vote. We need a great voter turnout. By golly, find a neighbor. Call a neighbor. If you have trouble getting to the polls, let them help you. Please, it's very, very important. I urge you to go vote tomorrow. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Wheels for this break, and I'll be right back.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. And right now, before we have Dr. Lamero on the program, Wheels, could I please hear a good word for Proposition 1?
It's an Idaho tradition going back generations. Horse racing. And Proposition 1 will bring it back. Yes, on Proposition 1. It's all about Idaho, creating hundreds of local jobs, restoring millions of dollars to local classrooms, all with full transparency and real accountability. And the Idahoans sponsoring Prop 1 are doing even more, donating 100% of net profits from their horse racing operations to a new charitable foundation, the Treasure Valley Racing Foundation for Rural Idaho, dedicated to supporting education, scholarships, healthcare, and economic initiatives, serving rural families and communities all across our state, supporting programs like 4-H and FFA, and providing financial assistance to students pursuing degrees in areas like agriculture and animal science. Yes, on Proposition 1, the campaign with a heart for Idaho. Paid for by the Committee to Save Idaho Horse Racing, create jobs, and fund public schools.
Oh, thank you very much. And right now, we get to visit with a man that I consider to be absolutely at the top of the pile as far as guests are concerned on this program. And he's the author of great books like More Great News for America and Great News for America. Here he is, Dr. Gerard Lamero. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am doing great, and it's always wonderful to talk to you. I always enjoy it.
Well, Dr. Lamero, I wanted you on specifically the day before the election tomorrow because I really appreciate your political perspective. I'm very concerned Okay, I'm very worried about America and what's happening to America, like in Florida, well, like what's happening in Georgia, Arizona, and other parts of the country that are leaning towards and even pushing towards a socialistic candidate. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'd say don't believe the polls, because I think the polls are still suffering from a number of issues that basically are misleading in terms of the results, because I do not think the polls are accurate. And I wrote an article a couple of years ago about the 10 problems back in 2016 that I saw with the polls. And, of course, I was predicting then from my forecast models, which are not polls, they're just computer models or mathematical models, probably a better way to say it. And, basically, if you don't have good underlying models on your polls, they don't work. Just like any other kind of model won't work if you don't have a good model. And I think that they're not doing us a service by giving us numbers that are misleading. But it could be that some of them have a political axe to grind, and that's why they don't mind putting out those numbers. But I really think, for example, some of these polls that are supposed to be so close, they're not even close at all. They're going to be different by 3 or 4%, and they're going to be Republicans.
Dr. Lamaro, I can't tell you how I appreciate your political insight on things that are coming up like you did at the last election in 2016. But we talked about this the last time you were on the program, and I quoted from your book. And I would like to, if you'll let me, say another quote again to your book, and I have a lot of respect for your comment. You said, quote, "The Democratic Party's attempt to impeach President Trump will fail decisively, and the Democratic Party will cease to exist as one of America's two major parties within a few years." Do you stand behind that?
Yes, I do. And I think that they're going to lose tomorrow. I think they're going to be shocked, just like they were shocked when Hillary lost. They talked themselves into Hillary winning. I remember, it's so funny, I was thinking of flying out to Las Vegas to go to the third debate in 2016, and somebody said, "Oh, you shouldn't go. Hillary's already won the election. Trump doesn't have a chance." And of course, I laughed at that. Same thing going on here. They have talked themselves into they're going to win. There's going to be a blue wave. You think they're going to get 50 or 60 seats? No way. And they're going to be upset, and they're going to be fighting with each other. Should they become the Socialist Party? Should they go back to the olden days like JFK? They're going to be having a big argument about who's to blame for this terrible situation, and I can tell them who's to blame, themselves, because they're not following the will of the American people. That's why they keep losing.
When you put a blindfold on someone and you challenge them to a fight, they'll hit anybody or anything that's close to them for fear that they're being attacked. I look at this with the Democratic Party. If they lose tomorrow, we've heard rumors and threats about what they will do, more chaos and more insurrection and this type of thing. Is this really what America's all about? Is a country not getting their way or winning an election and then tearing the country apart?
Well, let me tell you, this is not what America is about. This is what the Democratic Party is about. These people have become extremists. They have decided in their ivory towers or wherever they come up with these ideas, maybe it's rich Hollywood elites, maybe it's some university professors at some elite schools and that, but they have decided that socialism is wonderful. Marxism is wonderful. Some of them even will tell you they're communists. Well, guess what? America is not into socialism, communism, or Marxism. And these people are so angry because we're a free country, we have a constitution, we follow the rule of law, and the elites don't get to make up their own laws. And that's what these people are trying to do with their sanctuary cities, and they're, trying to let more people come across the border so they get more voters who don't know who they're voting for. I mean, people come in are uneducated, don't have skills, can't necessarily read and write or understand politics. So these people are just in a different place. They want a different system. And it's not America that's off, it's them that's off.
I totally agree with that, and let's kind of pick that apart a little bit and talk more. I had a segment earlier this morning about voter ID. I am absolutely adamant that anybody and everybody that goes to the poll, whether it's in Massachusetts, Florida, Idaho, California, doesn't make any difference. They should prove who they are with a voter ID and be proud that they can vote in America. I am sick and tired of hearing all this garbage about, well, I didn't have time. I didn't have the resources. I couldn't get an ID. That's bogus, and everybody should know it.
Absolutely. The last time I checked, over 100 countries around the world require voter ID in order to vote. People need a photo ID oftentimes in most libraries. They need it to buy alcohol in some states. They certainly need photo ID to get on an airplane at an airport because that's just considered normal, routine stuff. So the idea that our vote isn't just as important as buying a bottle of booze or something on the weekend, I mean, that's ridiculous. Our voting right is a big privilege that we have as American citizens, and we should protect it.
Dr. Lamero, I am very, very prejudiced against what's happening on our border. I do not want any thought of these caravanners to come into our country with the pugnacious attitude of sticking their finger in the chest of American citizens and saying, get out of the way, we're coming in. I am one of those that absolutely stands for the military to use force if necessary, but not let those people in. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that you and President Trump are in total agreement, and I've seen pictures. I haven't been there in person in the last week, but I've seen pictures of barbed wire going up, and I tell you, if I were going to jump over that, I'd be worried about getting cut. So I think that when they have those big, long lines of barbed wire, they're not going to have to have any run-ins with these migrants. I think these people are just not going to be able to get through the barricades. So I think President Trump fully intends to follow up on his word. He's a man of his word. His promises are turned into reality. He said they're not coming across, and I believe him.
You know, though, on the other side of that issue, if President Trump backs up or blinks, or the military says, like a matador at a Spanish bullfighter, ole, and lets them in, we're in trouble, and it's just going to be surge after surge after surge of more people coming in and telling us, the American taxpayer, what to do.
I don't think it's going to happen, and you know what? This problem is going to go away because we're going to have a more conservative House on Wednesday, although they won't take office until January. And we're going to have a much more conservative Senate, and you put those two together, and I think we're going to have true immigration laws passed that don't allow the holes that we now have in the system. There's a bunch of things that need to be fixed, but you couldn't get the Democrats to fix them. But now that more Democrats will be out of office, I think we're going to have enough conservatives in office that they're going to pass. I think a lot of things that have been held up in the Senate because you needed 60 votes to get over a possible filibuster, those are going to be gone. Because right now my prediction is 58 to 60, possibly 61 seats in the Senate will be Republican. Most of them are going to be conservative. It's going to be a new day in Washington.
Well, let me ask you about a situation all across the United States that has got to be revamped and cleaned up and go to some standards where America comes first, and that's our education system. This is the main problem as far as I'm concerned as to why we have that tin cup society of gimme, gimme, gimme. It's because of the way they're brought up, reared, and trained in our school system. How in the world can we ever clean that educational system up?
Well, and you know, believe it or not, in my book, you probably read that and mentioned it on a previous show. I really believe that we're going to have a conservative enlightenment. In other words, we're going to have eventually this conservative political wave that's been happening across the country to turn into a cultural wave, too. And I see people getting more conservative because they're fed up with the abuses of the left. And in the universities, and that you're right, there are a lot of Marxist professors They're entitled to their opinion, but they should not be allowed to browbeat all students into believing that Marxism, communism, socialism are wonderful. They're not. The facts are, places like Venezuela try socialism. What happens? The people are eating dog food. I mean, they have nothing to eat. It's a terrible system. It always fails. So I think what's going to happen is there's going to be pressure from the alumni, from the parents, from the trustees on the liberal folks who are in our universities and colleges to basically say, you can have your opinions, but you can't stop other people. You know, they do things like, I heard somebody got a bad grade at one school because they wrote a conservative paper. That's ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. People are entitled to their opinions. The left tries to squelch our kids and our students' free speech. That's going to stop because people are getting madder by the minute. And in K through 12, a lot of people who are conservative, I talked to one of them recently in California, they're running for school board, and they're going to change the rules in the schools for the same thing, that kids should not be indoctrinated with leftism, left stuff, but instead be given freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom to read the books they want within reason. You know, when they're little, they can't pick out anything. But, you know, basically they're allowed to pick pro-American books.
What do you think of the polling companies, if you will, in this country, be they Rasmussen or whomever the company might be? I have never been in favor of polling companies leading the electorate into thinking it's a done deal or a slam dunk. I'm very concerned about these various polling companies. What are your thoughts?
Well, a lot of them have hooked up with media companies, you know, like the news media type companies. And right then and there, you know, that when they're hooked up together, they're, you know, the media, a lot of the media is just plain biased. 92% of stories out about Trump are negative. So they have a bias, they have an axe to grind. When they start hooking up with the polling companies are getting paid by people, and you can bet the polling companies know what the media companies want to hear, right?
Right.
I mean, let's face it, if your money is coming in from people, you want to please your customer, the media, and they want certain answers. So that may be the reason that they're not fixing their polls. The other problem is, and they may not be aware of it, so maybe it's a lack of their education, but you know what? They've been using models that 2008, 2012, and back that worked in the olden days when the electorate was different. But the electorate has changed. The electorate has woken up to the fact that there are these leftists and there are conservatives, and there are also the old rhinos who are kind of Republican, but not all that Republican when it comes, you know, to the nitty-gritty. And so Americans have woke up, and things are changing. The electorate is changing. For example, the latest numbers are that black Americans approve Trump by 40%. Wow. I mean, that wouldn't have been true 20 years ago with the old polls and the old models. Maybe Trump would have had 5% or less of black Americans. So the electorate is not the old electorate, and if you make your polls based on old models, guess what? You're going to get old results that don't make sense.
Yeah. The one thing I would say, and I'm going to have to start wrapping it up for this morning, but I want you to comment on this. I think we, the electorate, we, the people, need to clean up our act, too. And when I say that, I'm very prejudiced in favor of people going back to church on Sunday morning, people spending time with the family during the holidays or during the supper hour, and going back to some of the strong values that made this country great in the first place. It's not just the politicians that need to take a dustpan and a broom. It's also us, we the people.
I totally agree with you, Zeb. You're 100% correct. But let me tell you, I think it's those leftists who have basically abandoned God in many cases. You know, socialism was based on atheism. And that's how they're thinking. And that's what their philosophy is. And all the gender stuff that's kind of weird and some of the other positions they hold, anti-pro-life, for example, and that, they're basically grounded in atheism, and I think they've helped to push the country, and they've also helped push it because they have so much influence in schools and universities and colleges, and also they have so much influence through Hollywood, which you know is not a haven for great movies that are rated G.
That's right.
They have a lot of junk coming out of Hollywood.
What do you think? I'm going to ask you to give us a little prediction right now as far as the Andrew Gillums in Florida and the Stacey Abrams in Georgia and the Senate races around the state, etc. Honestly, what do you think Wednesday morning on the 7th of November we're going to read in the newspaper or hear on the news?
I think that you mentioned, too, Georgia and Florida, governor's races. Those will both go Republican. Both of those people, by the way, you mentioned, the socialists that they are, that's not even their whole bad profile. I mean, both of them have issues. The FBI is apparently investigating Gillum for taking what amounts to bribes. Sounds like he's in trouble. And Stacey, they've opened up a cyber criminal investigation about the Democratic Party, I think trying to help her or something to do with her, too. And their positions are so out of touch with most voters. I think both of those are going to lose, and I think nearly every socialist around the country will be losing tomorrow, including that blue district in Queens, New York, with Ocasio-Cortez, who you ask her a question, she doesn't have an answer. You know, where's the money coming for all your social programs? Well, I don't know. Tax the rich. You know?
Yeah.
There's not enough money to tax, not enough rich people to tax to pay for her programs, but she doesn't know. She's just sort of like uneducated on economics.
But
so I think they're all going to lose.
But she falls into the category of the Elizabeth Warrens along with the Gillibrands and everybody else, including a lady that's running for our governorship here in the state of Idaho, Paulette Jordan. Absolutely tax the rich. Where's the money going to come from? Well, out of somebody else's deep pockets, or I don't know. That's the basic philosophy of these leftists.
Well, you know what else? You take the numbers like for Ocasio-Cortez, since she's well known, and you look at the multi-trillions of dollars it would take, you basically could tax the rich for 1 year.
Yeah.
And after that, they'd all be in poverty. There'd be nothing to tax them on because they'd given it all up to the government if you tax them 100%.
We've got a caller. 1 short minute is all I have left. Caller, real fast. Go ahead, please.
Well, 38 years ago yesterday, we elected Ronald Reagan to be president. And since then, there's been a lot of bad dudes. And it's good to see this thing starting to get turned around. And you have a good day.
Oh, I appreciate that call. Respond to the caller, please, Dr. Lamero.
Well, he's right. You know, Reagan was on the front end of the conservative movement, one of the leading folks, and he got things started, but unfortunately we didn't get rid of enough of rhinos and liberals in Congress. But the American electorate's doing that. 2010, 63 seats went Republican, not all of them conservative, but it keeps getting better each time because the American people are on a roll. They know conservatism is good. They know socialism is awful. And they're voting that way, and that's why the Democrats are upset. That's why they're losing. That's why they keep throwing temper tantrums, complaining about everything, because they're losing.
I absolutely enjoy this man being on my program anytime he's available, and that's Dr. Gerard Lamero, and the author of 2 great books, Great News for America and More Great News for America. Dr. Lamero, you are a very dear friend. Thank you for being on the program this morning.
Well, thank you very much, and have a great election day.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for being on the show. Wheels, if we could, please, right now, could we have a good word for Proposition 2, and then we'll do the weather.
This is Governor Butch Otter, and I want to tell you why I support Proposition 2. Proposition 2 is an Idaho solution that would bring our tax dollars back to Idaho and expand Medicaid to tens of thousands of hardworking Idahoans, instead of Washington, D.C. sending our tax dollars to other states, like California, to pay for their health care. Proposition 2 brings millions of our federal tax dollars back to Idaho, where it belongs. It will expand Medicaid to working Idahoans, people who work hard but can't afford health care. Proposition 2 isn't a handout. It's an Idaho solution that will help working families. Proposition 2 will help our rural hospitals save taxpayer dollars and create jobs. So join me and vote yes on Proposition 2. It's the right thing for Idaho.
Proposition 2, endorsed by law enforcement, doctors, business groups, chambers of commerce, and Governor Butch Otter. Vote yes on Proposition 2, paid for by Idahoans for Healthcare. Dr. Bruce Belzer, Treasurer.
Thank you very much, and it's time for the weather. Scarrows meets Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. And, of course, the number to call over there and find out more, 324-7657, or go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Oh, my, delicious meats like the marinated pork ribs. They are so good. And all the tri-tips and the prime ribs and the breakfast sausages and the bacon and the bratwurst. Oh, the list goes on. It's all delicious from Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Again, that number, 324-7657. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're going to be blessed with sunshine this week. The breeze will be a constant, and welcome to another work week on Zep at the Ranch. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Expecting sunny skies for today. Winds out of the west right around 20 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 35 miles an hour, and we are looking at a high of 49. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 32. Winds will be a consistent out of the west right around 15 miles an hour, gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. For tomorrow, sunny skies, breezy, high of 46, mostly clear for tomorrow night with a low of 26. By Wednesday, sunny skies, high of 43. Thursday, sunny and 42. As we hit the weekend on Friday, sunny skies, expecting a high of 46, pretty much the same for Saturday. And as we look ahead towards Veterans Day Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 47. That's your weather forecast for Zep at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina, and brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats. Don Scarrow and his absolutely efficient and very, very caring crew over at 331 North Road, Jerome. Absolutely, they're changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. We have a really good program tomorrow on Election Day, and we're going to be visiting with Frosty Woldridge, and we're going to kind of push his segment a little longer tomorrow to talk about all the things we need to cover. Then, of course, don't forget, we're going to have a call in, I think, from Molson Cattle Ranch and that big sale they've got on this coming Sunday. Don't forget that. Of course, then we're going to have the Stoats Ag Minute along with Dr. History, and let's see what else. Oh, we got James Herson calling in from Hollywood, and he tells us all about the sleaze, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's what's going on the Hollywood circuit. So that's all tomorrow. Don't forget our friends, your friends, with your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And they urge you to be ready for anything, whether it's rain, sleet, snow, hail, whatever. Be ready with the tires that are going to give you the best in road control. And you be sure and stop in and check out all the great buys. Like for your car, the Reputation tires, superior performance, quiet ride. Or for your ATVs, Open Range ATV. It's their best all-terrain tire. Absolutely all of these tires, plus the best in brake service with highly trained brake technicians, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. It's a little colder out there in the morning, isn't it? You turn the key and the battery goes boom, boom, boom. Hey, make sure you check your battery, and they've got the best of batteries at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Make plans now to go vote tomorrow. Please, no excuses, no complaints, nothing except go to the polls and vote. Please, please, please. And I want to really hear about a great voter turnout. So everybody go to the polls and vote tomorrow. We're going to wrap it up, put it back in the box, and say thank you very much for being with us for 3 hours. Zeb at the Ranch, where we always say the way things were or the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. Wheels, good job, buddy. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.